Beloved heart, before we begin, I have a special gift for you. If you've been feeling the intensity of Earth's rising plasma light codes and want to stay centered in your body and heart and energy field, I've created a free light language quantum grounding activation just for you. This transmission will help you stabilize, integrate, and align with the new frequencies flowing onto the planet. Simply join my mailing list. See the link that's in the show notes to receive instant access. Let's ground into the light. This is the transfiguration of the new you. Hello, beloved heart. Welcome back to another episode on my podcast. In this episode, I want to talk about the energetics of money and the evolution of the energy towards it. Money itself is a neutral tool. That's the way I've always seen it. And I've talked, a bit here and there about some of the things about the energetics of money, but I want to dedicate this whole episode on it and talk a little further about it. As I was talking to someone about it, and this just came up as a topic to discuss for the podcast. It seemed appropriate with all the changes going on as well around the world. Um, and it's a very, multidimensional conversation about money, I would say, about the currency and the evolution of currency itself. And specifically, though, the transmutation of the energy that is happening in the financial system right now. It's evident that things are really shifting and changing in the market. Um, and there's so many timelines, right, that are being projected that I hear, so many different psychics and predictions being made, about collapse, about chaos, about systems falling apart. And, I just want to offer like a different perspective. And I know that, things are really appears, very chaotic and as systems, are dismantling in a way, but really what's happening is like a transmutational thing that is occurring. And transmutation is really about the change in things. So there is an ending, but there's also a beginning. So doesn't mean that just because something ends that there won't be something there to replace it. So that's usually what happens with the evolution of things that change in a transmutational state. So I don't want to subscribe or align to certain fear timelines that say, financial system is going to suddenly collapse. What I feel though, deep in my body and through my own timeline of what I sense is that we are experiencing an evolution of the currency, not so much as a destruction, but more like a transmutational state. And, even like the words, themselves, when you hear destruction, you think of like is the end of everything. But really what it is, an alchemical process of things that really leads to a rebuilding and a reconstruction of something new. And just like, humans evolve, our systems will also evolve as well. And there is this whole evolution that is occurring right now at a very quantum level of the way human species is expanding in consciousness. That is because of these solar flares, because of this human resonance shift in heartbeat, that we are all a big part of this great shift that is occurring right now. So, in every major shift, of course, that would mean a change in the financial system, in the way the currency is interpreted or seen. So it's not something really to panic about, and it's not meant to be in a panic mode. But seeing it more as, there is this cycle that is coming of this change. And really, it's, up to us to adapt to it as well. And I'll get into, also like the energetics around this and the transmutational state to prepare as well for it. And, with every transmutation, we shift from one system to another. In history, though, there's always been this evolution of the money itself. Money, has never really been fixed, or the currency of it. We have shifted through some, the barter systems where goods were exchanged energetically and relationally. Metals and coins were represented as stored value. Paper currency, backed is used as well. Then we now, we have this whole evolution with digital currencies as well. And even with that, it's all just a shift that is occurring. So I do feel that digital currency will be more prominent, moving forward. And I do sense that that is something that is becoming more of a common theme. Um, so the currencies that we have now may shift into that, but that will probably take, some time for it to completely move into that kind of system. It's kind of like with the cellular structure, cell phones, right? The evolution of cell phones, like moving from the 2G, the 3G, and the 4G, and those infrastructures that have to be built around it to evolve, for that network. But even that is going to change dramatically as well because technology is moving at a much faster pace. And as technology moves, so does, the way we exchange currency as well. And where I see though, the way, metals still hold, a lot of value as well. So there's always, those areas of movement of, the shift that is occurring with the currency. So this is, I'm speaking from my own personal experience and what I've been seeing, what I've been sensing, and the messages, that I'm getting. But just as an example, like I'm remembering when it is not too long ago when I went to France to go visit, I still remember using the currency, the franc. And then, that just changed completely into like this whole euro system. And so, that just says how much the currency can just evolve and change. And you see it, so many different countries themselves, that their value that they hold for a coin all of a sudden changed to a different value that no longer holds a value. So, but the point is that the franc, that whole currency didn't just like happen overnight. It didn't just collapse all of a sudden. It just simply lost its energetic permission to function as a currency. And the value didn't disappear. It moved into this whole new form. It's through a collective, whole collective decision of it. So this is important to understand, right? Currency only has value because we collectively agree it does. And that means money is and always has been an energetic contract, is what value we put onto it itself. And so some of the things, in my own remembrance of like, say, ancient civilizations like Lemuria or Atlantis, um, money wasn't always, an exchange type of thing. I remember it being more of a barter system. And in this barter system, it was about the trust and reciprocity and the energetic coherence, and exchange of services, exchange of goods, and, offer something in alignment with the frequency of it. Um, so you receive something aligned in return. So the system, in time evolved and it changed because we went through this whole cycle of the separation of consciousness and what felt like, the fall of the consciousness itself. And so with that came whole new ways of currency, of powers and regulations, and the way money was looked at in a whole different way. And that's how things started to evolve even more. And even with that, has this whole history as well. Like the franc, of France, that's been around for centuries that they were using the franc, and then all of a sudden, just recently, it shifted into this whole euro system, right? That's just one example. There are so many other examples, I'm sure. So, in this lifetime, many of us may struggle with this idea, right? Going back to ancient civilizations, because I feel like so many of us who really resonate with Lemuria or like Atlantis or like even ancient Egypt, where there was more of this barter system, um, struggle with this right now when it comes to service, when it comes to, doing our spiritual work or launching a business that comes, that is related to metaphysics or mystics or spirituality. And believe me, I'm one of them who really struggle with this because of that, reasoning of that part of my DNA remembrance was remembering that as well. So it's really a transmutational change, of stories of changing that. And so this episode is really meant to like help you with changing that energy around that, and helping with the awareness of it. So, sometimes we struggle with this idea of how can I hold spiritual integrity and receive money? How can I stay in service and allow myself to be paid? And that's why, in some instances, some of the lifetimes that some of us may have gone through, who decided to stay after after Lemuria and Atlantis, pretty much disappear. And that's a whole other thing, about losing like an entire land that gets engraved. I would say it's a traumatic, wound within us to have, some of that remembrance. So there is a bit of that PTSD as well. And so when, we're trying to adjust coming back into like these different human forms, some of us chose to have like different vows of like poverties and all these vows made to conform to, this whole twisted and distorted view of what spirituality is, that somehow spirituality is still related to poverty. And I see this, so much struggle with so many brilliant, talented people out there. And so I feel like the roots of it also comes from some of this barter system as well that we remember. And I feel in some ways some of this may still, apply in the future, but until the systems that exist right now where we move, if we move from a currency system, or if there wasn't a currency system, then yeah, it would make sense to have more of a barter system. But the way the structures are now, which, could change as well, is, is really following your gut feeling as to what is in alignment, what resonates for you in that exchange, right? If it's going to be barter, if it's going to be currency, as an exchange, energetic exchange as well. And so that's where, the truth is, right? Is this that we are now like moving into this whole evolution of this, because we're taking all these lessons from our previous lifetimes that were coming from, say, seeing the downfall of Atlantis or seeing the downfall of Lemuria. And we're taking those wounds, right, and really learning from them and um, changing them, transmuting them to be much stronger, more resilient type systems that work for the people and that are, is an evolution for us as we move into a whole new human, which I'll get into. So we are creating more of this conscious version of exchange. Unlock your limitless potential with the monthly Multiversal Circle of Creation. This sacred quantum manifestation ritual will awaken your inner power and connect you to the successful versions of yourself across the multiverse. Clear blocks, amplify your creative energy, and set powerful intentions for abundance, love, and possibilities. Activate your galactic aspects, recalibrate your nervous system, and manifest your dreams with cosmic clarity. Available in person and via Zoom. Join us for this transformative experience today. So the real issue is not the money, right? Or any currency that we decide is going to have value. Like say if we use a coin or whatever, piece of paper, a bill, right? It's really the story behind it and the words that we put into it. And all of that is the energetics that's tied to, and some of it, is a subconscious pattern as well that's playing in the background as a broken record. And so it's so important, right, to really pay attention to when, how your body feels when it comes into, like, say, talking about money as an energetic exchange when it comes to a certain service. Like, how does it feel for you to receive? And I mentioned this before in previous episodes. For me, like, even just receiving a simple thank you it felt just really yucky and weird for me. It's almost like it was very hard for me to receive. But, all of that's changed because of so much work that I did on myself to really reprogram myself and looking at the way allowing myself to receive really is the first step in that. Um, And the same, applies here when it comes to the money and the currency that we have in the moment. So money in itself is neutral, whether that's by paper, by coin, or whatever other way of currency exchange we end up doing. And so it's really about what we value, what we put value into something. So what makes money feel heavy is everything we project onto it, right? Like fear, scarcity, unworthiness, control, distrust of institutions, or confusion about how to receive, to be in integrity. And we've heard it before that, so much of this has been programmed as well, that I feel is that money is the root cause of all corruption or something like that. So somehow that pattern is still kind of playing out, in some of us. So when people say the system is collapsing, right, we're actually just like sensing, it feels more like it's a nervous system thing of remembrance of when Atlantis, the downfall of Atlantis, the downfall of Lemuria, and all those things, it just doesn't feel to be safe in these structures. So there's more like this thing about safety, right? And the foundations. And, what foundations are we on that, would make us feel safe and stable? And, it's valid to feel that. I'm not saying to ignore what you're feeling either. But instead of fearing the collapse, we can choose to participate in a transmutation to become the alchemist of currency. So becoming your own masters of the energy itself when it comes to wielding the different forms of currency, which is, an aspect of our abundance, an aspect of our wealth. Whereas, abundance and wealth is not just about that, right? It's everything encompassed, right? It's about time and energy, and so much more, as well as all the resources and everything, that is a part, of our divine right to be in our own abundance and wealth of all kind. So, because your relationship, right, the relationship with money does not evolve simply because of the external system changes. It evolves when you change the story that you're running about it. So, as the emergence, right, of this new human, which is really like a homo luminous like expression. When I say the new human, is really like the one that embodies this whole new light body that it's really being upgraded, and we're going to take our physical bodies with us along with it. So that's really what this whole ascension is about, this integral part of our light body. So really more of our soul essence, and having more of this expansiveness about us, of our consciousness, which is an all encompassing, ability of the divinity that we hold within ourselves. So really it's an increased amount of light quotient, that our cells are upgrading to in this way, and switching on other aspects of our DNA that have been dormant for eons. So that's why we feel certain symptoms occurring and coming up at this time. So as we are moving into this whole new human, that means that things are also evolving into the way currency is, our relationship with currency is moving as well. And that's going to change the systems, because as we expand in this whole evolution, we also get whole new ideas and energy flow of, the way we see money. So really moving from a survival mode to more in this creative energy flow, having this mutual empowerment, having this conscious choice rather than an obligation. So being more of this light anchor, you begin to feel, I'm not receiving money, I'm receiving the energy that reflects what I have, offered. So that is completely, different frequency than charging for my time and hoping I'm worth it. Because I feel like, there's so much of this, like you have to work really, really hard. You have to really like in order for you to prove your worth. And that was one of those things that I really had to let go um, and transmute in myself. Because to me, it's really about the energy. And I'm not saying there won't be any action or any form of structure. It's just really about embodying more of the frequency and the energy around that and really just knowing your worth and making that declaration to yourself rather than just an affirmation, but really just being it. And so for me, this is why so many of the light leaders who have their own business, they're entrepreneurs, struggle to charge, or you're still trying to like price your words rather than anchor your frequency in it. So here's some practical ways to transmute money energy that I'm about to share with you. Um, Number one, speak to money as an ally, not an enemy. So one day, once a day, you could say to yourself, money is welcome in my field. I transmute all distorted stories attached to it. I allow currency to circulate through me and amplify my mission and my purpose here on earth. Money responds to permission. So you're really giving yourself this permission. So if you treat it like a threat, it will avoid your field. So treat it as a friend, as someone who is a big part of your life, that you're giving it permission to be a part of your life. Number two, anchor your receiving to your service, not your worth. So your worth is infinite. It cannot be priced. So to me, you're priceless. Priceless worthiness. So just really stop trying to justify your price by proving your worth. Instead, say, this is the energetic exchange required to activate the transformation I facilitate. You are not charging for time, you are activating exchange in alignment with the field that you are opening. So, number three, create one new receiving channel. Transmutation begins with action. So, this means open a new offering um, and adding a whole like tier of support. And every new receiving pathway teaches your nervous system. It's safe to allow more. It's safe to allow more. Even if one person uses it, it breaks energetic stagnation instantly. So, whatever it is that you're offering, um, through a means of like a channel that you create, right? If you're in this whole business or entrepreneur, it's a light leader that you're trying to start off, um, just, be um, consciously aware, I would say, in what form that is going to come for you. Take what resonates, if you're going to use a barter system, um, it's really about your own gut feeling and what you feel resonates for you in that moment as well to make that exchange. So, as we witness these shifts going on in the global financial systems, stay centered in your own truth within. Um, this is not like the end of the world type collapse type thing. Like for me, it's more like an evolution, a transmutational evolution of things. And it's really a shift in the value of things and how we see things in our own view and our own perspective. So we are pretty much reassigning the value into whatever new currency that is. And you get to decide what currency means in your reality. So with that, it's really the essence of the message when it comes to this whole transmutational and preparation of the shift from the new human into like moving into whole new energetics of money and how we look at money. So, it's not something that, I say that it's going to happen like overnight, but it's a constant practice to do for yourself. If this is something that you want to do in your life, that you want to shift more into entrepreneur type, being more of service to the collective in different forms. If you're feeling called in your heart for that, um, it's really just and part of it is also discernment as well, right? And knowing where it is that you're feeling certain things come up. If there's resistance coming up around money, then pay attention to that and pay attention to that programming and what energy you decide to put into it, how to shift the stories around it. So with that, I will conclude. So may you receive abundantly, circulate consciously, and lead a luminous steward of the new wealth frequency. So remember your own worthiness that you already are, and that money itself and the currency, they're all tools. They're all um, tools, so they're neutral, and it's really the energy that we put into it itself. So I will catch you in the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to click like, save, and share with others so they can also experience what you just experienced. And stay tuned for some more high vibe episodes. And I'll be connecting with you in the next quantum field. Sending you so much love.